I never imagined that the day my granddaughter got married would be the day my heart felt the heaviest. I'm a 70-year-old mother and grandmother, and all my life I believed family meant standing together no matter what. I raised my son alone after his father passed away, working long hours, cleaning houses, cooking meals late at night, and skipping my own dreams so he could have a better future. I was always there for him, cheering at school events, saving every dollar and teaching him right from wrong. When my granddaughter was born, she became my joy. I held her the first night she came home. I rocked her to sleep. When her parents were tired, I watched her take her first steps and say her first words. I was not just a grandmother, I was a second mother in many ways. I babysat her after school, packed her lunches, and prayed for her every night. As she grew older, life changed. My son married again, and slowly I felt myself pushed aside. Decisions were made without me. Holidays passed quietly, and calls became less frequent. Still, I never complained. I told myself children grow up and build their own lives, and a mother must learn to step back. When the wedding invitation talk started, I was excited. I dreamed of seeing my granddaughter in her white dress, smiling the way she did as a little girl. I imagined sitting in the front row holding tissues and whispering prayers. I even saved a small amount of money to buy her a gift, something meaningful, something from the heart. One afternoon, I finally gathered courage and asked my son about the wedding details. His voice was cold and rushed. He said, "Mom, you're not on the list. The venue is small, and we had to make choices." Those words felt like a door slamming shut in my chest. I tried to speak, but my voice disappeared. I stood there holding the phone, feeling invisible, like all the years I gave meant nothing. "Not on the list," Mom kept echoing in my mind. I did not argue, I did not cry on the phone. I simply said I understand and wished him well. Then I went home alone. That night my house felt emptier than ever. The walls heard my quiet tears, and the memories played loudly in my mind. I wondered how love could be forgotten so easily, and how a mother could be erased from such an important moment. I had no idea that what I chose to do next would change everything. The next morning I woke up before sunrise. My eyes were swollen, but my mind was clear. I sat at my small kitchen table holding a cup of cold tea, thinking about my life and every sacrifice I made for my family. I realized something important. I had spent so many years giving love that I forgot to protect my own heart. I walked through my house slowly, touching the old furniture, the family photos, the handmade cards from my granddaughter when she was little. Each item carried a memory, a piece of my soul. I stopped in front of a small box in my closet where I kept important papers, letters, and keepsakes. I had not opened it in years. Inside that box was my will and documents I had prepared quietly after my husband passed away. I always believed planning was a way of caring for family. Even after death, my son was listed as the main beneficiary because he was my only child and I trusted him completely. As I read the pages, my hands trembled, not from anger, but from clarity. I understood that love should never mean allowing disrespect. I had been treated like an afterthought, like someone who no longer mattered, and that pain needed to be acknowledged. I spent the rest of the day remembering moments when I felt pushed aside. Family dinners I was not invited to, birthdays celebrated without me, phone calls never returned. I had made excuses for all of it, telling myself everyone was busy, but now the truth stood clearly in front of me. That evening I called an old friend who worked at a community center. She listened quietly as I shared my story. She reminded me that self-respect is not selfish, and that boundaries are necessary, even with family. Her words felt like a gentle hand on my shoulder. For the first time in years, I did something just for myself. I wrote a long letter, not to send, but to release my feelings. I wrote about my love, my pain, and my disappointment. I cried while writing, but when I finished, my heart felt lighter. I made a decision that night, not out of revenge, but out of self-worth. I decided that my remaining years would be about peace, dignity, and honesty. I would no longer beg for a place where I was not wanted. As I went to bed, I whispered a prayer for my granddaughter, hoping her wedding day would be filled with joy. Even if I was not there, I still loved her deeply, and nothing could change that. I did not know that my quiet decision would soon send ripples through my family and bring unexpected consequences that no one saw coming. 2 days before the wedding, I received a message from my granddaughter. It was short and polite, asking if I was feeling well and saying she was busy with final preparations. I could feel the distance even through her words. I replied kindly, telling her I was proud of her and wishing her happiness. I did not mention my pain. That same afternoon, I visited a small legal office downtown. It was not fancy, just quiet and respectful. The lawyer listened carefully as I explained my situation. He did not judge or interrupt. He simply nodded and asked what I wanted for my future. I told him I wanted peace, I wanted fairness, and I wanted my legacy to reflect love and respect, not obligation. We reviewed my documents slowly and thoughtfully. I made changes with a calm heart, not in anger but in honesty. When I walked out of that office, the sun felt warmer on my face. I felt lighter, as if a heavy weight had been lifted from my shoulders. For the first time in years, I felt in control of my own story. Back at home, I cleaned the house carefully, not because anyone was visiting, but because it felt right. I donated clothes I no longer wore and organized drawers filled with memories. I kept what mattered and let go of what did not. That evening I sat on my porch watching the neighborhood children play, laughing freely. I realized how precious time is and how quickly it passes. I promised myself that I would no longer waste it feeling unwanted. The wedding day arrived quietly for me. There was no dress to wear, no ceremony to attend. I made myself breakfast and turned on soft music. I chose calm over sorrow. I lit a candle and said a prayer for my granddaughter, hoping her marriage would be strong and kind. I forgave my son silently because holding anger would only hurt me. As the day passed, I received no calls, no messages, no updates, and I accepted that truth without tears. I understood that sometimes silence is an answer. That night, as I prepared for bed, my phone rang unexpectedly. The name on the screen made my heart pause. I took a deep breath before answering, not knowing that this call would open a door I thought was forever closed. When I answered the phone, I heard my granddaughter's voice, soft and shaking. She asked, "Grandma, why are you not here?" My heart skipped a beat. I stayed quiet for a moment, then gently told her I was not invited. There was silence on the line, heavy and painful. She sounded confused and hurt. She said she thought I chose not to come. She said she looked for me in the crowd and saved a seat for me. My hands began to shake as I realized how deep the misunderstanding was. I told her the truth slowly and carefully. I did not blame anyone. I simply shared what her father had said and how I respected their decision. She started crying and apologized again and again, saying she never wanted me excluded. In that moment, I felt both comfort and sadness. Comfort that she still loved me, and sadness that love had been blocked by silence and assumptions. I reminded her that today was her special day and she should focus on her happiness. She promised to visit me after the wedding and asked me to wait for her call. I agreed and wished her joy once more. After we hung up, I sat quietly, letting the truth settle into my heart. Later that evening, my son finally called. His tone was different, tense and uncertain. He asked if I spoke to my granddaughter. I said yes briefly. He sighed deeply. He admitted he made the decision himself, thinking it would avoid drama and keep things simple. He did not realize the damage it would cause. I listened without interrupting. Years of hurt sat between us. I told him calmly that exclusion hurts more than any argument and that respect matters, especially between family. He was quiet for a long time, then said he never thought I would be so affected. That conversation did not fix everything, but it opened a crack in the wall between us. I felt stronger for speaking my truth without anger. As the night ended, I looked up at the stars and felt a sense of peace, knowing that my voice had finally been heard, even if the road ahead was still uncertain. The next morning, I woke up feeling different, not sad, not angry, just aware of my own worth. I made breakfast slowly, enjoying the quiet. I had given so much of myself for years that I forgot how peace feels. A knock came at my door, unexpected and gentle. When I opened it, my granddaughter stood there, still glowing from the night before, her eyes filled with tears. As soon as she saw me, she hugged me tightly, holding on like she did when she was a child. She apologized again and again, saying she felt broken knowing I was left out. She showed me pictures from the wedding and said, "Grandma, you were supposed to be there." My heart ached, but I smiled and told her love does not disappear because of one mistake. We sat together for hours, talking, laughing and crying. She told me about her fears and dreams, and I shared stories from my youth. She listened closely like she used to when she was small. She asked me why I never spoke up before. I told her sometimes older people stay quiet to keep peace, even when it hurts. She held my hand and said peace should not cost love. Later, my son arrived, standing at the doorway, unsure of himself. He looked smaller than I remembered, not as powerful, not as certain. He asked if we could talk. I invited him in, and we sat across from each other. He admitted he thought he was protecting everyone, but instead he caused pain. He said he did not realize how much I still mattered. I told him I never wanted control, only respect and honesty. I told him being a mother does not end when children grow old. He nodded slowly. That day did not erase the past, but it planted something new: understanding, accountability, and healing. For the first time in years, I felt hope. As they left, my home felt warmer, fuller, and alive again. I knew the journey was not over, but a door had reopened. After they left, I sat alone, thinking about how quickly life can turn pain into understanding. When truth is spoken, I realized silence protects no one, and honesty, even when soft, can change hearts. That afternoon, I went back to my small routine, watering plants, folding laundry, and listening to old music, but everything felt lighter, like the air itself had changed inside my home. A few days later, my granddaughter called again, asking me to come visit her new home. She said she wanted to start her married life with honesty and family togetherness. Her words touched my heart deeply. When I arrived, she welcomed me warmly, showing me each room proudly. She asked for my blessing, and I placed my hands on her head, praying for patience, love, and strength. My son watched quietly from the side. Later, he pulled me aside and apologized again, this time without excuses. He said he was afraid of opinions and pressure and forgot compassion. I told him fear often makes people choose wrong paths, and forgiveness gives them a chance to return. He thanked me with tears in his eyes, something I had not seen since he was a child. Weeks passed, and slowly, I noticed changes. I was included in calls, decisions, and gatherings, not out of obligation, but respect. My voice was asked for and valued. I also noticed something important within myself. I no longer waited for invitations to feel worthy. I knew my value, whether acknowledged or not. One evening, I received a letter from the legal office confirming the updates I had made earlier. I smiled, knowing my legacy now reflected truth and balance. I placed the letter away, not as a threat, but as a reminder to myself that love must walk alongside dignity. I felt stronger, calmer, and ready for whatever the future would bring. As months went by, life settled into a new rhythm, one filled with cautious warmth and honest effort. My family seemed to move differently around me, with more care and awareness. My granddaughter visited, often bringing stories from her new life and asking for advice. She trusted me again openly, and that bond felt unbreakable. My son started calling just to check on me, not to ask for favors, not to rush the conversation. We talked about simple things, whether memories and sometimes our regrets. I could see he was learning slowly that respect is shown in actions, not words alone, and I allowed him that growth without holding his past mistakes over his head. One afternoon he asked me to attend a family gathering he planned himself. He said it would not feel right without me there. I agreed cautiously. When I arrived, everyone greeted me warmly and made space for me at the table. Small gestures, but powerful ones. I felt seen. During dinner my son stood up and thanked me publicly for everything I had done as a mother and grandmother. His voice trembled and the room grew quiet. He admitted his mistake without excuses and said he hoped to be a better example moving forward. Tears filled my eyes, but I stayed calm, proud of the moment. That night I returned home feeling something I had not felt in a long time: closure, not perfect but real. I realized then that healing is not about winning or being right, it is about being honest and allowing others to grow. As I went to sleep, I felt grateful for the strength to speak and the wisdom to forgive. Time continued to move forward, and with it came quiet lessons. I learned that respect once lost can be rebuilt, but only when truth is allowed to breathe. I spent more time doing things I loved: walking in the park, reading books, and helping at the community center where many older people shared stories similar to mine. Listening to them reminded me that my pain was not unique and that many parents suffer silently, believing sacrifice is their duty. I encouraged them to speak gently but firmly for themselves. My granddaughter often joined me at the center, volunteering beside me. She said she wanted to learn kindness by example. Her presence filled me with pride. One evening she asked about my past, about her grandfather and the struggles we faced. I told her stories of resilience, patience, and hope. She listened closely. My son became more involved too, sometimes driving me to appointments or simply sitting with me watching television. We were rebuilding something fragile but meaningful. I noticed I no longer felt small around them. I felt equal. My opinions mattered, and my presence was welcomed. That sense of dignity changed how I carried myself. I stood taller, spoke clearer, and smiled more. I understood then that age does not reduce worth, and love should never be conditional. As seasons changed, I felt ready to fully let go of the pain that once controlled me. I had grown beyond it. My story was no longer about exclusion, it was about reclaiming self-respect and teaching others how to love better. Months passed and life continued to change gently. I found myself invited to family events, birthdays, and small celebrations. Each moment felt precious because it was chosen freely, not forced. My granddaughter often sat beside me, sharing her hopes, dreams, and fears. I listened patiently, guiding her not by control, but by wisdom. She valued our talks deeply. One afternoon my son came to my home with a small gift. It was a handmade photo frame with a picture of all of us together at the last gathering. He said he wanted me to have something to remember the beginning of our healing. I accepted it quietly, feeling a wave of emotion. I realized forgiveness is not about forgetting, but about choosing peace for yourself. We started traditions of our own, small but meaningful, simple dinners, game nights, and walks in the park. These moments slowly built trust and understanding. I felt my heart lighten as I noticed smiles replacing tension, laughter replacing silence, and warmth replacing distance. My granddaughter asked me to teach her how to cook some family recipes. She said she wanted to carry our memories forward. I agreed happily, and we spent hours laughing in the kitchen. My son helped too, sometimes awkwardly, but with effort. His presence no longer threatened my peace. I understood then that love is not static, it grows and changes when nurtured and respected. I also realized my own strength had grown stronger than I ever imagined. I could face exclusion, hurt, disappointment, and still find joy. Life was no longer about waiting for recognition, but about creating moments that mattered to me. The following weeks brought quiet joy and reflection. I spent mornings tending to my garden, afternoons reading, and evenings sharing stories with my granddaughter and sometimes with my son. We laughed together, cried together, and slowly the wounds of the past faded into memories that no longer held power over us. One evening as the sun set, I sat on my porch thinking about how fragile family can be and how strong love becomes when it is patient and honest. My granddaughter ran out to me holding a small bouquet of flowers she had picked from the garden. She said, "Grandma, these are for you." I smiled and accepted them, feeling pure happiness. My son joined us, bringing snacks and water. He stood quietly watching us laugh. I realized he was learning to appreciate simple moments and presence more than he ever had before. We began sharing family stories from the past about love, sacrifice, and joy. My granddaughter asked endless questions and listened intently. My heart swelled with pride. I also began writing my own thoughts down about life lessons and love for her to read one day when she was older. I wanted her to understand patience, kindness, and resilience. Some days were still hard, but I no longer allowed them to control my peace. I learned to acknowledge hurt, then let it go, choosing love and understanding instead. The house felt alive with connection, laughter, and warmth. We were rebuilding not just relationships but trust and respect. I realized that even when I felt left out, life has a way of creating new beginnings if you are willing to step forward and claim them. Winter arrived slowly, bringing chilly winds and quiet nights. We spent more time indoors, drinking tea and sharing stories of past winters and childhood memories. My granddaughter loved listening to the stories about her parents when they were young. One evening she asked me, "Grandma, why did you always stay quiet when you were hurt?" I looked at her and said, "Sometimes people stay quiet to protect themselves, but staying quiet can also keep love alive if spoken carefully." She nodded thoughtfully. I realized she was learning the delicate balance of honesty and kindness. I felt proud of the lessons we were sharing. My son joined us, occasionally bringing treats or asking questions. He seemed more mindful of the words he used and the way he listened. He apologized again for past mistakes sincerely without pressure for me. We spent weekends making small crafts and cooking simple meals together. The house echoed with laughter and shared joy. I noticed my granddaughter started inviting friends over to meet me. She wanted them to know the woman who loved her unconditionally. She introduced me proudly, and I felt honored. Sometimes she would ask me about my feelings during her wedding. I shared gently my pain and my journey toward peace. She listened carefully, absorbing the lessons without judgment. I also reflected on my relationship with my son. I understood that while I could forgive the past, I needed to maintain healthy boundaries to protect my peace. Life had changed slowly but meaningfully. We were no longer a family defined by misunderstandings, but by effort, forgiveness, and presence. I realized then that love can be rebuilt stronger than before if honesty and respect guide it. Even in the quiet moments, I felt grateful for the journey and the growth it had brought. Spring arrived, bringing light and color into our lives. Flowers bloomed in the garden, and birds sang in the mornings. My granddaughter and I spent hours planting new flowers, sharing stories, and laughed. The house felt alive. My son began joining us more often. He cooked meals and helped with chores. He seemed genuinely happy to be present, and I appreciated his effort without needing perfection. One day my granddaughter asked me, "Grandma, what do you want most in life now?" I thought for a moment and said, "Peace, love, and the chance to see my family grow without fear or exclusion." She smiled and held my hand. We started small family traditions, each week a dinner or a walk in the park. We laughed, shared stories, and created memories that belonged to us all. I also noticed my own growth. I no longer felt invisible. I felt confident in my choices. My presence mattered, and I had reclaimed my voice. Sometimes we would sit quietly watching the sunset. My granddaughter would ask questions about life and love, and I answered honestly, teaching her lessons learned the hard way. My son would sometimes sit beside us quietly listening or adding his own thoughts. He seemed changed, patient, aware, and more understanding. Even during small disagreements, I learned to communicate clearly with calmness and respect, setting boundaries when needed. I realized peace comes from within and cannot be forced. Life felt fuller, brighter, and meaningful. I had faced hurt, exclusion, and disappointment, and emerged with strength and wisdom. As spring turned to summer, I knew that our family bond was no longer fragile. It was rooted in truth, effort, and love, and I was grateful every single day. Summer arrived in full warmth and light. Our family had transformed from distance and hurt to connection and understanding. My granddaughter and I spent long mornings in the garden laughing and sharing dreams. My son joined us more freely, bringing meal, stories, and small gestures that showed he cared. One afternoon my granddaughter asked me, "Grandma, will our family always stay this close?" I looked at her and said, "Love is a choice. Each day we choose to care, forgive, and respect each other." She smiled and hugged me tightly. Later that evening we all sat together on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon. The sky glowed with colors I had almost forgotten. We shared stories, laughter, and quiet moments. My heart felt full, stronger than ever before. My son apologized one last time sincerely. He said he had been blind to the pain his actions caused and promised to always include me moving forward. I forgave him fully, knowing the past could not be erased but the future could be built. My granddaughter held my hand and whispered, "I love you, Grandma. I want you in my life always." I felt tears of joy and pride streaming down my face. She had grown into a thoughtful, kind young woman, and our bond was unbreakable. That night I realized something powerful. Life is unpredictable, painful at times, but resilience and love can create miracles even from moments of exclusion. I had learned to stand firm, speak my truth, and forgive without losing myself. From that day on, our family gatherings were filled with laughter, stories, and inclusion. No one felt invisible or left out, and I knew my presence mattered deeply to all of them. I had been left out of my granddaughter's wedding once, but I had returned stronger, wiser, and more cherished than ever. Life had turned my heartbreak into strength and my silence into a voice that could never be ignored again. I smiled as I looked around the room, feeling gratitude, love, and peace, knowing that our family was not perfect, but it was real, honest, and full of heart, and I had finally found my place.